So we're now live. Okay.
Okay, we now live.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I will introduce first. Selamat malam in bahasa. Sorry on.
No problem.
Baik teman-teman semua, selamat bergabung di webinar kali ini. Kita sudah bersama dengan Owen, dan nanti teman-teman bisa chat langsung dan bisa juga bertanya, tapi nanti agak ada sesi tanya jawab khusus. Maksudnya tuh kita akan mengumpulkan dulu pertanyaan-pertanyaan dan nanti akan dibantu kawan kita untuk mentranslate pertanyaan-pertanyaan teman-teman itu. Jadi nanti teman-teman juga bisa bertanya dengan bahasa Indonesia. Oke, kalau gitu kita langsung mulai aja. So Owen, are you ready to start?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I hope everybody's ready. Okay, selamat malam. Okay. I thank you very much for being here so late. I know it's probably after people's work time, but I think hopefully this will be helpful to you. The purpose behind having this meeting, this webinar now, is because, of course, in the field of online investigation and verification, things do not stay still for a long time, and changes happen, and the tools we use. So around 1 month ago, I did a big, quite comprehensive update to the training materials and sent that on to February and hopefully around to other people too. So what I want to do is go through the deck as it now stands and explain changes that have been made and why they have been made. Now, a lot of the material we will go through over the next 45 minutes to 1 hour will be very familiar to you. So at the end, or even later, if you need to message me or anything, if I have gone over anything because I thought you know it, and if you have any questions or wondering anything, please contact me anytime and ask me. You can ask questions at the end of this, or you can email me or message me later. So I never want anything to be unclear. So the first thing I'm going to do here is share the new training deck. Now, when I say new training deck, it's the same training deck with changes made to reflect changes that have happened in this field that we're working in. So I just changed it a few minutes ago. That did say July 2019, but I realized we're in August, so I changed that also. It is up to date. I have made some changes even in the past few days, and I will be making more changes in the next week or two, but I will explain that a little bit later. So the first part of this deck, I have put in this list of sections or table of contents. The main reason I've done this is just, first of all, so you know what to expect, but also because I know sometimes when people go out to do training workshops, you may have more or less time, depending on where you're going, depending on what the local conditions are, and things like that. So I want to make it as possible into modules so that you will be able to maybe change your own plan from time to time. Maybe sometimes you have 1 day, maybe another time you have 3 days, maybe sometimes you have half a day. So I'm trying to set it up in such a way that you can choose which modules to include or exclude in order to fit the time that you have available, and possibly also in order to suit the existing skills of the people that you will train. Now, I will be adding 2 or 3 more modules to this in the next couple of weeks, but when I do that, I will send as clear an explanation as I possibly can. Now, one thing I have said is feel free to change this to suit the audience or the culture or the people who you are training. You can also make changes to suit your own training style. But the one thing I will warn people, I know this from my own experience, good experience and bad experience, is that if you want to change graphics, for example, you will see in this one, a lot of the graphics come from Hong Kong or Taiwan or whatever, and it would be nice to have Indonesian versions for your own audiences. If you're doing that, give yourself lots of time. Start doing it well before your workshop, because it can be surprising how much of your time it can take up, especially when you're already a working journalist and you don't have a lot of spare time. So if you want to put in, for example, a Google historical view graphic and it's from Jakarta instead of from Taipei, just give yourself plenty of time ahead of time to do that. Then I have also given a webinar previously to my group in India, and I spoke to them about tips that I have that can help you to find exercise material, because I think we all know that that can be one of the most frustrating things, is trying to have enough fresh and topical and relevant material for exercises and for examples. So, you know, I very often get messages from people and they say, oh, I'd love to have some new exercise material. But if I'm getting those requests, I try to answer to requests when possible. But very often I'm getting the same requests from India, from Indonesia, from Australia, from Taiwan, and other places. So I think it's more helpful if I teach people as much as possible, or help people to do some of that for themselves. And I will show you a document later where I hope we can all benefit from each other in that respect. So there is a link there, and I will put that link. Let me just see if I can. Yes, I will put this link into the chat also.
Hello, everyone, once again.
So I'm going to drop this link into the chat here. And that is publicly available, so you can go into that and watch it. And it's me giving out a whole lot of tips and best practices on searching for exercise material and example material and so on. So please bookmark that and watch it whenever you have a chance. So the first thing I generally open with in my workshops, most of you will be familiar with this section. It's just an introduction to disinformation, to fakes and all that kind of thing. And it's partly humorous because it just gets people feeling relaxed and it gets them interested, and they can see some of the many ways in which fakes are created and the consequences that that can have. Give me just a moment. I want to get that on full screen again. There we go. So this is a video that I've shown in Indonesia and other places, just a typical fake video. If you have any questions on these sections, please ask me a little bit later. But I think you will be familiar with these, the questions that we should ask ourselves, and then some examples of when it has been harmful. I'm sure some of you have good examples of this kind from Indonesia also. And of course, you don't have to use the Mahatma here. You can use somebody more locally relevant for a slide like that. This is, again, of course, Sam Hyde, who I even saw an article yesterday saying that this guy is still appearing in hoaxes in the aftermath of big news events. And here are the examples that I think you will be familiar with. Similarly, this one talking about not putting people in danger, but the possibilities of financial damage. It was hoax saying that the airport in Bangalore was flooded. I've also put in a slide here which shows the head of digital for Donald Trump and the White House saying this was from Miami International Airport, and then Miami Airport saying, no, it's not. So anytime you can get something by a high-profile personality making a mistake like that, it's not that we're trying to make fun of those people. It's just to show you that even people in very high-up situations can be caught out. Now, I've put in a few slides of this nature, which are just very clear roundups after we go through certain topics. So just to shortly explain what we should have learned over the past half dozen slides or so. Again, this is some examples showing members of the public being scammed and losing money. You may have similar examples from Indonesia. This happened right across the world. I'm sure there were quite possibly people in Indonesia who are caught out also buying Bitcoin. Then we go into the reasons. Again, I've done this in most workshops in Indonesia. The reasons why people will believe these things. Again, examples of very high profile people being caught out and looking silly. Again, the takeaway, so the lessons we should learn from that always check your gut feeling, don't be taken in by the first thing you notice about something, and so on. Then these examples of how fonts can be used to create fakes. And then a couple of examples, this one of course showing that none of us can think we're too big to make these mistakes, because here you have the Washington Post, the BBC, CNN, all these people being caught out. And then just a nice example of the opposite, where the Washington Post did their own work and avoided being caught by a fake piece of fake information. So again, the takeaway that no one is too big to be fooled. And also one mistake I see people making quite a lot is seeing something on the BBC or Reuters or the New York Times and repeating it. Of course, we should all be independent on this. We shouldn't be repeating what we hear, because as we have seen, even the biggest media can be fooled by this stuff. So the first of the logistical changes that will have to be made is, we have been talking about using CrowdTangle. And there has been one important change with CrowdTangle. This is going to have to be removed, because from September, Twitter will no longer be available on the CrowdTangle dashboards. Facebook and Twitter have been unable to reach an agreement on API calls and other things like that. So Twitter is going to be removed and will no longer be used in CrowdTangle. That brings it down to Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Then none of these things have changed since the last few workshops I've done. I've changed quite a few of these slides, largely to update the appearance of the graphics, because many of you will have noticed that Twitter's user interface has been changed, and a lot of things are not where they were. Things that were across the top are now down here, down the side, and quite a few things have changed in the appearance of Twitter. There are also a couple of changes that are useful, in that the subscribed lists and the owned lists have now been split into two separate sections. It used to be that the lists you were subscribed to were part of the lists that you owned. They were down at the bottom. So if you had a lot of lists, you would have to scroll quite a long way. It's quite convenient now that they're separated. None of these have been changed except just slightly in their appearance. I have mentioned that if you click on this icon at the top right, that gives you a quick look at information about a Twitter list. So you can see very quickly if it has a lot of members or only one or two, if people are subscribing to it or not. Then how to find people's own lists. You just click on the three dots there, you get a drop down, and that will give you a look at their lists. And one thing I have emphasized a little bit more is to look at lists that people are members of, particularly if you follow someone and there's someone who you recognize as an expert in a certain field. Check what lists they're a member of, because that means people will have added them to lists, and it's possible that those lists themselves may be very useful. There may be many other people with that kind of expertise who have been added to the same Twitter lists. The list copier, I've checked it again in the last couple of days. It's still working the same as it always has, so it's still a useful tool. And then TweetDeck, one of the things I like about TweetDeck recently, they have, Twitter have done some work on it. And in reordering columns, if you have 4, 5, 10, 15 columns open, sometimes you want to pay more attention to certain columns. So you want them over on the left so they stay on your main screen. That used to involve looking here and waiting for a pop-up to come up to tell you the name of the list and then dragging it up and down. These handles at the top left of each column have always been there, but they were always really, really slow. You would grab it and drag, and then you'd have to sit and wait. It was like using Netscape Navigator or Windows 3.1. You had to wait for it to happen. Now, they seem to have done some work on the back end of TweetDeck, and it's very fast. You just drag and drop, and you can reorder the columns as much as you like. I see a notice that says Ratna has joined the room. Welcome, Ratna. Then these slides are the same as they have always been, just explaining easily how to set up TweetDeck. TweetDeck has got a little bit more importance now because of CrowdTangle not having access to Twitter anymore. Now, these are a couple of things that I'm going to add more slides on in the next couple of weeks. Before the end of this month, I'm going to put together 2 more small sets of slides, 2 more, I guess I could say, modules. One of them will be on monitoring news sites, blogs, and other websites. The other will be on, actually I said 2, but it should be 3. One of the others will be on archiving, and one of the others will be on searching for cached or deleted content. I will put a message into the WhatsApp groups when I am adding those slides and explain why they're there and what you can do with them. But for now, just a brief mention that I will be adding explainers on visual ping, on a site called Follow That Page, and also on Google Alerts. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick look at visual ping and Follow That Page. So here's visual ping. What you can do is you can add a website here, let's say bbc.com, and you add it. It's a little bit slow because it's a very popular tool. But what it does is it takes a snapshot of the page here, and then it checks that page from time to time. I think I should use a website that isn't as busy as BBC. Let's check, say, Mafindo. I believe that's the correct address. Okay, visual ping is a bit slow right now. But I explained the concept at least. I think this may be to do with my own internet connection also. So it captures a snapshot of the appearance of that page. It checks it every day, and it checks it visually for changes that have been made to the page. And you select a certain portion of the page. So it checks it visually. You then put in your own email address here, and if there are any changes made to that portion of that page, it will email you and tell you. So it can be very useful if you go, for example, if I were to go to the news section of Mafindo's page, and then Mafindo added a new news story tomorrow and it appeared here, Visual Ping would send you an email to tell you there's something new in that section of that page. But I will be putting slides together to explain these more clearly. Visual Ping is quite popular. It looks very slick and very professional. Personally, I prefer Follow That Page. Follow That Page doesn't look as serious. It's got an ad for something down here. Somebody's, what do I say, guest house in Greece. But it's actually very powerful. And what you do with this is you put in the address of the page. I'll just put in the address of the homepage of my website here. Then you get a whole lot of options here: report additions, report removals. You can have a description of the page. I'll show you that in a moment. How often you want it to be changed, to be checked, and so on. And again, you put in your email, and you get an email anytime changes have been made. The main reason I prefer Follow That Page is that it's not visual. It doesn't depend on the appearance of the page, and it watches the whole page rather than just the section that you select. So I think it gives you a more accurate reading of the changes that have been made. And I've noticed also with Visual Ping, there are a couple of problems. If I put in the address of my own website here, sorry, I've got a typo there, I'll fix that. Now, for some reason, Visual Ping doesn't see the correct appearance of my website, whatever way the architecture of my homepage is put together. That, happily, is not what my homepage looks like. So if I make changes to the homepage, they're not going to reflect here, and Visual Ping is not going to properly understand the changes that have been made. So it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. There are problems with it. I have tested Follow That Page on my own website, and it has worked very well when I've made changes. So like I said, I will produce a number of slides on Visual Ping explaining the good points and the weak points. I will do the same with Follow That Page. And I will also prepare a set of slides on using Google Alerts to monitor changes and to monitor mentions of things online. Now, I haven't done those yet, but I will have them before the end of the month. And as soon as I have them done, I will put messages into the WhatsApp group. So the big change, of course, we all had the big panic over changes made to the Facebook API. And yes, it's ongoing. Programmers are trying to get past what Facebook has done. And every time they make changes and allow you to make good searches on Facebook, Facebook then makes changes. And it's like a game of cat and mouse. You know, it keeps changing all the time. Of course, you still have the native Facebook search, which is okay, but not very good. And then you have some of the third-party tools. This one, Facebook Graph Searcher from Intelligence X, is working to an extent, but I think it's very important now that when we're training people, we explain to them that these tools are in a constant fight to work properly, and there's really nothing we can do about that. It's a question of the developers of these tools fighting against the changes that Facebook is making. So it's just a question of accepting that they will work sometimes and other times they will not. There really isn't anything we can do about that. I will be putting together, again, a list of 3 or 4 of these type of tools, and we should be encouraging people, if one doesn't work, try the other one. It's not a very satisfying thing to tell people. Everybody would like to have something that's 100% and works all the time. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and we can't change that. A lot of the searches do require to know Facebook ID. I think it's as the Facebook IUD instead of UID, user ID. But we used to use Intel Techniques for that. Of course, Intel Techniques, now most of the tools have been put behind a paywall, and quite an expensive paywall. But there are a number of sites like this that allow you to find somebody's Facebook user ID from their Facebook profile URL. So you put the URL in here, you hit lookup, and it gives you the unique identifier number. So this one, lookup ID, is only one of those. It works well at the moment. It can always be a good idea to just use Google and say, find Facebook ID, and you'll get another of these tools. Now, if lookup ID or the other tools are not working, here's the way you can find the Facebook ID of a user for yourself. You go to their Facebook account homepage, You right-click on the page. From the drop-down, you select View Page Source, and then you hit Control-F if you're on a Windows machine, Command-F if you're on a Mac, and you search for entity_ID. And that will give you their ID number, their Facebook unique user ID number. So then when you go back to Graph Searcher, you put the user ID number in there. And the last time I tested this was a couple of weeks ago, and it was working fine at that point. I will continue to test it regularly. When it works really well, I will mention that in the WhatsApp group. When it completely breaks down, I'll try to mention that. And I would hope that other people will also be checking it out and mentioning to each other and to colleagues if it's working well or not. One thing people don't notice very often with Facebook Graph Searcher is that there are a lot of different types of searches you can do. If you just go down to the bottom of the page there, you can see that you can select different search types. Again, because of the way that Facebook keeps changing and keeps trying to block things, some of these searches will work well sometimes. Other ones will work well other times. Sometimes they will all break down. And again, like I say, there's not an awful lot we can do to control when and how that happens. Follower wonk, we have all gone through, I believe. Also, search my bio for Instagram. And this is just one that I think everybody here understands, but very often when you go out to a new group of trainees, you'll find that sometimes they get confused that when you do an Instagram search, several different types of search come up. So you have the hashtag, the geolocated photo or video, and then just things with the word in the name. I'm just going to jump out here for a moment because one tool that I've found a couple of months ago and that I find really useful because it's the only tool of its kind out there is one called Skimmogram. If you're working on a news story and you're looking for breaking content on it, the great thing about Skimmogram is that you can put in any keyword, search for it, and you can filter to bring back only Instagram video or only Instagram photos or both video and photos. But I really like that you can filter to have just video coming back. So it takes out all the photographs and just shows you the videos. So this is one that can be very useful to stop you getting overloaded with content from Instagram. Now, another section that I have added, and I've kept it quite simple, is a section on what's known as Google dorking or Google hacking. So just using operators and formulas to make your Google searches more powerful. We did go through this a little bit the last time I was in Jakarta. And one of the things that you will find with trainees, I've had to emphasize this here because when you're training a large group, you will get people very often saying, I don't understand, I've put it in as you told me and it's not working. Almost always the reason is because they've put in a space. So that's why on this slide I have included this important no spaces, because it's kind of instinctive for us from using word processors and typing all our lives, is that when we hit a colon, we put in a space after it. So make sure to tell people no space goes here between the operator and the keyword. Another thing, I had a problem one time. One trainee said, these are not working. It was because they were using a different search engine. These are generally for Google, although, as I will explain in a few minutes, many of them can be used in other search engines also. So there is Google Advanced Search. I do say it can be used to learn operators. It's useful to put in the criteria that you want. Put in the criteria that you want in these spaces. and then it will bring you back and show you the search that it's using. So for example here, if I want to search on my website for the word tool, and you do that in Google Advanced Search, but then of course it shows you how this search is formulated. So then you don't have to go back to Google Advanced Search. If you want a different keyword, or if you want to search a different website, you can just change it here in the search box. Then the one that a lot of people find useful is searching for different file types on certain websites. And again here, you can make changes yourself. You can change PDF here to DOC or XLS. You can change the name of the website. You can change the keywords. You don't have to keep going back to Google Advanced Search to do that. Now, it's always worth emphasizing to trainees that it's worth getting away from just Google and trying other search engines, because different search engines bring you different results. Bing is very good. DuckDuckGo, which I use a lot because it doesn't track your searches. And Million Short is an interesting one because with most search engines, particularly with Google, many of the top results you get will be paid for results. They'll be commercial in some way. What you can do with Million Short is it's still based on the Google search architecture, so it brings back the same results. But you can filter it to leave out the first 10 or the first 100 or the first 1,000 or even the first million results, so that you're skipping over a lot of this paid for irrelevant content that comes back first. It's worth looking at and worth checking out to see what kind of results you get yourself. Bing also has search operators in the same way that Google search does. They're mostly the same, but there are a few little differences. One of the ones I like is that when you do the file type search on Google, you get back any files of that type that are actually hosted on that domain. Now, there's a little thing with Bing that's even better than that. It's the one I think that says contains. It's one of these. I'll put it in the chat later. But it will also bring you back files of that type that are linked to from that domain. They could be hosted somewhere else, but they are being linked out to from that domain. So if I wanted to give you a link to a PDF, but I didn't want to host it on my own website, and I got Mafindo to host it, the Bing search would still find that, even though it's linking from my site out to somewhere else. The Google.com file type search would not find that. I can clarify that later for people. I'll do an example of it and post that into the WhatsApp chat during the week. That's just a short link to the explanations of the Bing operators. Yahoo search, again, Yahoo search is, it's not as strong as Google search, but one of the things with the Yahoo advanced search is that it's got a very nice page here where you can set all different types of things that you want. The downside of that is that when it generates the search, it doesn't show you all the other information. So you can't change here, for example, file type or website address or any of that stuff. So it's not as visual. It doesn't show you what it's giving you or how it's giving it to you. However, if you look up at the top here, all the information is in the URL. Now, this is something that I would like us to emphasize a little bit more to trainees, is that it can be very helpful in your work to get familiar with manipulating URLs and being familiar with how they are put together, because it's not difficult at all. And it can be very convenient for you. Sorry, Hesty has a question there. Bing file type more powerful. Not necessarily file type. File type, Hesty, brings you back the same result in the same way. it's just slipped out of my memory for the moment, but there's a different operator that you use for Bing, and I will drop an explanation of that into the WhatsApp chat after I finish this webinar, because I've forgotten exactly what the word for it is. So with this one, I want us to get people to start looking at URLs a bit more carefully, because, for example, if you've done a search like this and you see in the URL, here's PDF, instead of going back to Google Advanced Search or Yahoo Advanced Search or Bing or whatever advanced search, all you have to do is change that to a different file type. And now you get an entirely new search here. So here you've got a search and it's bringing up all PDFs. Oops, sorry, I went backwards. You then change that to DOC, and now the search is bringing back all DOC files. And this kind of thing is very handy. You know, you can do this with your Twitter searches, with your Instagram searches. Instead of going back and typing things into the search box, just have a look at the URL, see is there one little thing you want to change, and change it in the address bar, and that gives you a whole new search. So this section I haven't made any dramatic changes to. Again, it's just a section concentrating on these kind of fakes that can be debunked very, very easily with our favorite tool, reverse image search. I have put in a little bit extra explaining, for example, why Yandex can often be better than Google for doing reverse image search. And I've got an example in here. So here's a still from a video of a protest in Colombia. And you can see down here, there's a logo on the back of the guy's jacket. And I thought that might be relevant, it might be significant. So I cropped down that logo and did a Google reverse image search. And as you can see, I ended up with a whole lot of garbage down here. Nothing useful at all. I then used exactly the same crop and did a reverse image search using Yandex. And immediately I got this one, and I got this one. This one even had text on it, so of course that caught my interest. And I clicked into that, and it was a group called Defensores del Pueblos, which is an NGO that helps people in villages and countryside understand their legal rights. So it was very helpful. I don't know why exactly, I'm not familiar with the technology behind this, but for some reason Yandex tends to perform well, or at least much better than Google, when it comes to logos and also faces. And no reverse image search engine seems to be really good with faces, but the best of a bad lot, I guess, seems to be Yandex right now. TinEye, I am probably going to exclude quite soon, because TinEye just does not seem to be bringing back anywhere near as good results as the others. I do still like the filter where you can sort by time, because Google and Yandex do not allow you to do that. And then I've put this slide in here, which is just comparing and telling you the advantages of each one. Then just a section on the browser extensions. You'll see that I have mentioned two. There's Revi and image search options. Again, not being a highly tech person, I don't understand exactly why, but from my own testing, it is certain to me that Revi seems to work better if you're in Chrome, and if you're using Firefox, image search options works better. Both extensions are available for both of the browsers, but this tends to be the way it is, that Revi works better in Chrome, image search options works better in Firefox. Then I've been stressing, emphasizing using Invid recently, because the problem that I pointed out previously with YouTube Data Viewer is still a problem. And I would prefer, we did not advise people to use YouTube Data Viewer. I know it looks very nice, it looks very simple and straightforward, and probably 99% of the time it will work correctly, but there is a little bit of a problem in that if a video is uploaded and set as private, YouTube Data Viewer does not know that it has been uploaded. If the person later changes it to unlisted or to, sorry, I just got a request, I'll go back in a moment. You then set it to public or unlisted, then YouTube Data Viewer thinks that is the time that the video was uploaded. Now with InVid, if a video is uploaded and set to private, InVid does not know that it has been uploaded. But for some reason, if that video, the permission is then set to unlisted or to public, InVid now knows that the video is there, but can also tell you the time it was uploaded, even though it didn't know when it was uploaded that it was there. For some reason, it can look into the metadata and find the original upload date and time in a way that YouTube Data Viewer right now cannot. So YouTube Data Viewer, this would be an unusual situation that people do upload things as private and then set them public. But it does happen. And if something is wrong one time, then our investigation depends on absolute accuracy. We always want to be completely accurate. And if a tool can be wrong once, then we have to make the assumption that it potentially can be wrong every time. So even though YouTube Data View will be right almost all the time is not good enough for us. We want something that works every time. And right now, that's InVid. Now, just go back very quickly. This is just the comparison between the three reverse image tools. This is all in the slide deck. You will all get access to the slide deck, but if you want to do a screen capture right now, please feel free to do so. I'll leave it up here for about 10 seconds. Okay, Ratna's got it anyway. Quick off the mark, of course. So then the next section on analyzing sources, I have not made any significant changes to this. So we can skip through this pretty quickly. Again, with any of these, you can change them to people or situations that are more locally relevant. But as I said, give yourself lots of time to do that. Spoonbill is one that I've only started recommending to people in the last few months, and it's one of the only things that I will ever say to people, you should sign up for the email, because I never subscribe to emails. I hate getting extra stuff in my inbox. But the great thing about the Spoonbill email is that if you create an account, if you log into Spoonbill, and if you then sign up for the Spoonbill email, it will give you a daily or whatever frequency you want. It will give you updates on any of the accounts that you follow that have made changes to their profile information on Twitter. So this was when I realized some of my former colleagues and other friends were using this, because when I left First Draft, I just, of course, changed my Twitter profile slightly, and suddenly I got a whole lot of emails from people saying, oh, have you left First Draft? And it's because they were getting this daily email and it was mentioned in it. So again, just a little design change to this, telling people details they should be checking out. The YouTube trick that I mentioned to people the last time I was in Indonesia, this still works. It's probably not quite as useful as it was, because a lot of people's extra information was Google+. So I'll change this slide because Google+ is dead. It still can be useful from time to time, the YouTube about trick. I checked the Twitter email trick yesterday and it is still working. So as I said, just do not click the continue button here. Otherwise, the person whose email you're trying to guess will get an email telling them somebody was trying to reset their email. Hunter, I think I've explained to everybody. Again, it helps you to find any emails related to whatever domain you put in here, and helps you also to see what kind of pattern, what protocol companies use to create emails for staff. Then I've made a couple of very minor changes to this one. I am going to add a couple of new slides to this. One will be on actually just paying attention when you see somebody posting content, because I have a slide somewhere, or a photo, a screen grab somewhere, that shows a woman who posted a whole thread on Twitter of dramatic videos during last year's typhoon in Hong Kong. And it says in the first tweet in the thread, "These are not my videos." And directly underneath, there is somebody from BBC reaching out saying, "Hello, are these your videos?" So one of the things I will be emphasizing to people is, if you're reaching out to somebody, please know what they're saying first, because that person just made themselves look very foolish. I've moved this one to a separate slide of its own just to give a little bit of a visual break. And also you can stop for a moment and explain that, you can put people in danger without meaning to when you're trying to do the right thing. So you have to really think very carefully about what the possible consequences of reaching out to people can be. So I got a question from August. Any idea how to track people using fake accounts on social media to spread hoax? Well, that could be a whole day's training. Again, this is something I couldn't answer in a short way right now. It will involve, partly trying to see whether people are using the same username across different accounts, whether similar language is being used, so similar phrases are being used in accounts that are supposed to be different from each other. Do you see, for example, the same tweet, the same content of a tweet being posted around the same time from different accounts? And a lot of this, it's very, very difficult to prove it 100%. What you're trying to do is show similarities and build up circumstantial evidence. We could get together and do possibly a group discussion section on things like this. I will also try to maybe find links to reports that have been done where that has been done successfully. But to explain it briefly right now would be more than I'm capable of, I think. Then I have put this on a very, very dramatic looking single slide of its own, because I just think it's very important that we should never be encouraging members of the public to put themselves in danger. And of course, one thing that people often forget, somebody from the public is very nice and gives them a piece of content, and we just kind of move on with our work and don't even say thank you. Then on location, I've just simplified some of the slides here. Again, I've stopped recommending watch frame by frame, mainly because you don't really need it anymore for YouTube, because this feature that used to work really well and then didn't work for several years is now working very well again, where you just pause a video and you can use the full stop and comma keys to go forward and back through the video one frame at a time. Then, as I said, with some of these, it may be better for you if you're going somewhere in Indonesia to just put in local examples of some of these. Again, as I said, give yourself lots of time. One thing that's worth mentioning that people seem to forget now is that everyone's so used to grabbing the yellow peg man and holding and dragging and holding, and if you let go of it at the wrong time, you zoom into the wrong place. That doesn't happen anymore. or at least it doesn't need to happen, because Google has updated maps so that if you want to see where Street View is available now, you just have to single click on the yellow pegman. You don't have to drag and hold and wait anymore. So you just single click on it, and anywhere that Street Views are available or photospheres are available will light up in blue. And many of you will be used to what we used to have to do, where you would drag it in and you would try to hold it over exactly the right spot and then let go and drop it. Again, you don't have to do that anymore. All you have to do now is, once you've clicked on the yellow pegman once, and anywhere the Street View is available highlights in blue, then zoom in close enough so you know exactly where you want to look at, and then just single click on that point. So none of this dragging and trying to drop it in the right spot anymore. And then it will just go straight into where you want to see. Mapillary seems to be getting more and more content all the time. The coverage is increasing. We used it a lot in India because Google Street View is not available almost anywhere in India. I am slightly worried that we may be drawing too much attention to it in India, and if the government notices that all these places they didn't want covered by Google Street View are now covered by Mapillary, they may ban Mapillary in India as well. We got a question, can we get your session today? I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I assume you mean this session we're doing right now. I'm not sure if it's being recorded. Ratna may know that, or some of the guys may know that. Okay, it is being recorded, good, yeah. And also, is it Imelda? I will also make sure that everybody has access to this deck that I'm presenting right now. So anytime you want to look through the deck, and if you see anything that you find complicated or difficult to understand, please contact me or ask Ratna or February or anybody, and we will go through it again. One of the interesting things with Mapillary, and I'm definitely going to be checking it out in Indonesia more, is just some of the remote places that it has content for. You see here somebody was crossing a river or an estuary and actually shooting content that they then upload to Mapillary. This is very common in Hong Kong, people taking the ferries and using Mapillary and getting views that you never get on Google Street View. I think we're all familiar with the historical imagery. And just that comparison of how it can be good to use different maps. And I have put Wikimapia back in. We had to leave it out for a while because it had almost shut down because of the API charges from Google. It's not using Google anymore. It's now using Bing Maps for the satellite view section. And if you want to change this to satellite view, you just go into this on the top right, that's a drop down, and it will show you satellite view, and it's from Microsoft Bing Maps. Geotagging, I don't spend a lot of time on except to explain to people that it can very easily be faked, so you need to be really careful of it. Now, a very, very important change that happened, or that I became aware of this week, and nobody else I know was aware of it until that, because February contacted me. I believe it might have been Afwan that mentioned it to February, saying, have you noticed that you can't set your time zone in your Twitter account anymore? And my first thought was, that's a little bit inconvenient. But my next thought was, oh, that's potentially very important, because your time zone is what determines the timestamp you see on tweets. If you can't change your time zone, that's going to affect that. So I had a little bit of a hunch, and it turned out to be correct, fortunately, that they had changed the criteria for creating timestamps. So I tested it on a few different devices and different browsers, and it turns out that in Twitter now, the timestamp you see on tweets is now determined by the time zone. Sorry, that says time zone. It should say time. Let me change that. The time your computer or device is set to. I mean, it is also the time zone. That's not incorrect, but it's clearer just to say the time. So, whatever time you have set on your computer, that is what will determine the time that you see on a tweet. Excuse me now, I'm confusing myself here. It is probably clearer to say time zone. Anyway, on we go. Apologies. So that is an important change, because we were always used to saying when we see the time on a tweet, the timestamp on a tweet, that depends on the time zone we have set. But no, it depends on the time zone on your device, not in your account. If you're not logged in, it defaults to Pacific Standard Time. Now, I've also put in down at the bottom here a couple of extra ones, Reddit and VK, which is like the Russian version of Facebook. And I've left those in because people sometimes complain to me and say, well, that platform is not very popular in our country. Why are we learning about that? And a good example was when I was in Myanmar a couple of months ago, and they said, why do we need to know how to use Twitter or YouTube when everybody in Myanmar just uses Facebook? And I asked them, well, what are the priorities? What are we trying to find out? And they said, well, a lot of fake content is being spread on Facebook in Myanmar, and we don't know where it's coming from. Well, much of it was originally being posted on Twitter or YouTube or other places. But because they never used those platforms, they couldn't find the original content, and they had absolutely no idea where it was originating from. So even if a platform is not used that much or even at all in your own region, it can be very important to understand that platform to some extent, because that may be where all this bizarre fake content on your favorite platform is coming from. Now I'll get rid of this slide actually, because that doesn't work anymore. With the Instagram slides, I've just made a small change. As we know, you hit the 3 dots there. You get the embed code, and you put it into a text editor and search for date time. And one little change I've made in this slide is to say that you don't necessarily have to put all that garbage there into a text editor, because once you bring up the embed code, you could just search for date time in the embed code box there. The only thing you have to be careful about here is that there are 2 different times. So to see the other one here, you need to scroll a little bit that way. So just to know that there's also the Pacific time. There's UTC and there's Pacific time. The shadows are one that I might de-emphasize just a little bit, because people can get very confused and spend an awful lot of time trying to understand something that doesn't get used an awful lot. I do think it's worth knowing it, but not getting too stressed over. I know Heru has done some very good sessions on it, so I might let him do further explanation on it. Again, if any of you have a good local example on this, please feel free to add it instead of the example that's here. Oh, sorry, question from Afwan on the embed code. I'll just go back to that and show you. you'll see here that it's in 24-hour clock here on the UTC, and it's in AM, PM on the Pacific Daylight Time. So one of them is 24-hour clock, one of them is 12-hour clock, but does... Oh, how to find the embed, okay. I'll just go back again. So to find the embed code, when you get to the piece of Instagram content, you click on the three little dots here. When you click on those dots, you get a drop down, or you get a, whatever, I don't know what the technical term for this is, but a pop-up. And then you get embed here. You click on embed, and it gives you this. Now the embed code is all in there. So you could just search in there for date time, or you could copy the entire embed code and put it into a text editor like Notepad or whatever. But equally, you could just do Control F or Command F, search for date time, and you will find it in here. So again, quickly looking at weather. You have the comparison there where you've got all the wet roads and the person carrying an umbrella and weather report that says no rain in sight. But something that I keep emphasizing to people is that it's good that we have sources of information, but it's also important that we know what their sources of their information is. So for example, this one from Naypyidaw in Myanmar that gives me these weather conditions. But I scrolled further down that page and it showed me that the weather conditions for Naypyidaw were coming from Chiang Mai International Airport, which is 300 kilometers away and 200 meters higher up. So there's quite a possibility that that may not be exactly the weather in Naypyidaw, if that's what it's like at Chiang Mai Airport. So try to be aware of where the information is coming from. This one obviously will be more accurate because this is for Yangon and it's from the Bojok Road weather station, which is in the center of Yangon. But another thing to be slightly wary of is that sometimes these apps and programs go wrong. Because here's one that, again, it was from Naypyidaw, from Weather Underground, and it's telling me that it's 68 degrees Celsius, which obviously it has never been 68 degrees Celsius in that city. But looking at that, of course, that made me suspicious. It also says it feels like 0. So I just reloaded the page and then I got plausible results. Have some coffee, Agus. And this thing that I always emphasize also is that just because we're learning all these new tools and techniques doesn't mean that we can just disregard or forget all the skills and fundamentals that we have as journalists. These are tools, and in the right hands, used in the right way, they can be very powerful. But we have to remember all the things that we have learned and experienced through our careers. The trainer's guide I have made no changes to. So that's almost everything I have to go through right now, except for one more thing I want to bring up with you guys. I have put together a spreadsheet. Now, it's just the beginnings of a spreadsheet. But I want to give access to this spreadsheet to everybody. And it's not just going to be everybody in this group. I also want to have people right across my Indonesian, Indian, Taiwanese, Australian, and other groups, and allow them to add to this, because we all know one of the biggest problems we have is constantly having fresh and new and relevant exercise content. So I've just started, this is just the very beginnings, putting these in here. So you put the caption or the description, this is Hong Kong protest, then the platform, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or anything else, the URL, the task type, is it a geolocation task? Is it a source checking task? Then just tips, because of course it's useful for us if we know the solution before we start giving it to trainees. If it is a geolocation exercise, put in the latitude and longitude coordinates for the correct answer. And then you can, but you don't have to. You can put in your name here. I'm not saying everybody has to add to this. I think it's great when if people will, and it should give us a good repository of useful exercise material. If somebody is using one and finds out that maybe the content has disappeared or the link is broken, they can also put a red mark beside it or whatever, highlight the row in red, and we can get rid of it. But I think potentially this could be of great use to us. I've also split it into 2 tabs. One is for video, and the other tab is for photos. So if you have a little bit of time, and if you have an exercise that you have used or found useful, please, I'd really appreciate it if you would just add it in here. And what I will do is I will get maybe February to collect emails from everybody, and I will bulk add people so that everybody has access to this. I will also back this up every day, every 24 hours. So just in case you do go in to do something and you accidentally delete everything, we will have a backup and I'll restore it. So I think this could be very useful for us. I will continue to add to it anyway. If you only ever want to go into it to take things, not to give things, that's fine. I have no problem with that because I'm creating it for your benefit. If you do feel public spirited and feel like you want to contribute to it, please do so. And that's pretty much all I have to say for now. So if we have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. Good question, Afwan. Is there any change with Yandex? The short answer to that is I don't know. I will try that myself. Like any search engine, I think there are possibilities that people may get different results. I'll just take a look at that now, first of all. And thank you very much for mentioning that, because anytime we have any difficulties or issues, it's good that we keep each other informed. Now, is this the same thing that was happening to you, that it just wasn't responding at all? I wonder, is it possibly because... Okay, wait a moment. I'll just put in the original one first. That's a Google Drive file. So you cropped out this border on the edge, I assume, and then tried searching it using Yandex. I said last month you were able to find the original, but yesterday you couldn't find it anymore. Now, there are a couple of possibilities. One could be a change to Yandex. Another could be that the original source file, the original file, is no longer online. Have you checked that? Were you eventually able to find it? Because I see Ratna says Afwan almost couldn't find the original source. I'm just going to try that now just to see if I can find it. Yeah, it's not bringing up good results there. Is this similar to the results that you had, Afan? February, you say CrowdTangle is not widely used or accessed. Do I have another option? Well, it depends on what you want that option to do. Because CrowdTangle belongs to Facebook, so of course it has abilities that no other tool will have for monitoring Facebook. So that picture you point out, Afan, is still available online, but Yandex is no longer finding it. So it's part of a gallery. I don't have a definite answer for that right now. What I will do is try to talk to somebody I know who has more technical knowledge in this field. But certainly that's interesting. Now, is that exact picture still in the gallery there? Can I open that gallery and go through it manually? Let's see. Is that the picture? No. Similar. Okay, but that page, that link that you gave me that should have the picture and it doesn't actually have the picture in it. So is it possible that that picture has been removed from that gallery? This one is similar, but there are 6 pictures in this gallery. And that exact one is not one of them. So I'm not saying this is 100%, but is it possible that this picture is no longer online? And that could be the reason why Yandex is not finding it. I've tried with Google also. So sorry, Ratna, have you got a link to where it appears online?
So hello.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's moving pictures. So you should crop because it's changing gradually. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like several pictures in the image gallery, and then
Yeah.
it's not still image.
Yeah, but that gallery that I just checked, it's not in that gallery. The one that the link that Afwan sent.
That's
The
in the
pictures.
gallery. So if you open the link that Afwan sent to you,
Yeah.
you will see the picture. It's changing in a
Yeah,
few
but I don't.
seconds.
If you look at what I've got shared on the screen now, that's the gallery.
That's the
So
gallery, and then if
yeah,
you wait like 4 seconds, and then I think it's the number 5, and then you will see the picture. Because I'm also screenshotting from the gallery. So the question, because I know Afwan tried to debunking before, it's easier before we did the training, but during the training, the index, see, that one is the one. So basically, that's the original picture, the previous one, and they changed the head of the two persons. So it used to be.
okay. Sorry. So yeah. Okay. Sorry. I thought we were looking for the exact same picture, but it's yeah. You're looking for the picture that it was.
So it's
Made.
basically, yeah, it's manipulated. So basically, the question to the audience, to the participants, is whether this is an original picture or a manipulated one.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. I thought you were looking for the exact same picture, but so this so this is the manipulated version.
Yes, yes, but in order to convince the participant, you need to show the original one. And by the
Right.
time
Yeah.
he was, by the time he tried to show the original picture, and then he opened the index, because I was there in the training as well, he couldn't
Yeah.
find it. So he's all sometimes, I mean, it's hard to convince people that it's manipulated.
Of
So
course. Yes. Unless you
mm,
have the exact original.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the session, he finally succeed to find the original one.
Right. And if I can ask, how did you find the original again? Because there's the original, yes, but as you say, Yandex is not finding it.
Oh, he already debunked the image, so
Yeah.
he got the original one as well,
Okay. So
and
yeah.
he
So
then,
the version of the
then
original.
tried to show the original first source. I mean, like, he wanted to show to the participant the original website.
Yeah.
And then it used to be okay when he used the Yandex, because
Yeah.
Yandex then deliver him to the original source, but it wasn't succeed yesterday. It failed.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. It's good to know, but I have no idea why, if Yandex found it previously, it can't find it now. Yeah, it's not having any success there.
Oke, ada lagi yang mau tanya? Pakai bahasa Indonesia nggak apa? Nanti aku bantu terjemahkan. we do have another question.
I see that. Yes. I will check. I know that I have had a similar problem recently. I will check and see what the best tool is. I don't want to recommend one right now because I know Facebook is constantly changing things. So I will test a few today, and if they work well, there are several that I know of, but I will test which of them is actually working right now, and then I will message in the WhatsApp group.
Cool, Owen.
Yeah, let me just take a note of that.
Ada lagi pertanyaan lain untuk yang ini, Owen akan coba cek dulu karena Facebook kerap mengubah-ubah API dan sebagainya. Nanti kalau dia sudah menemukan, terutama yang tentang apakah Facebook sekarang sudah tidak bisa lagi menyimpan video, akan disampaikan lebih lanjut melalui WhatsApp group. Begitu ya?
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 I could name right now, but until I test them, I don't want to say them because, as I said, Facebook is changing very, very often these days.
Oke, ya. Karena Facebook sering mengubah-ubah sehingga jadinya nggak bisa pasti banget. Jadi lebih baik dicek dulu setelah dia yakin betul dia akan share ke kita. Oke, so we can go to the next question. Ada lagi yang mau tanya untuk misalnya pas lagi ngasih training beberapa waktu lalu, seperti misalnya ada tadi yang dialami sama Afwan misalnya, atau misalnya mencoba memecahkan masalah satu misinformasi atau disinformasi tapi mentok misalnya gitu juga bisa di-share. So Hesti asking, so you testing the tools every single day, aren't you?
I wish I had time to test them every single day, but I'm testing them very often.
Okay, regularly.
That's why you'll see many websites that have more tools than I have listed, but that's because I want to keep them manageable.
Okay. Ya. Ada lagi yang lain? Tapi bagus loh dia ngecek, jadi kan kita bisa tahu. Ya, Facebook labil soalnya.
Oh yeah, Facebook is trying to do everything. One thing I did find interesting that one programmer who tries to make these kind of tools for watching Facebook told me that he thinks that they will almost always possibly find ways, even after Facebook changes things, because in order for Facebook to completely stop people searching it, they would have to ruin their own search facility. So there will always be openings. It's just up to these hackers and programmers to find them.
So basically, in the next 2 days, we can have the file of the video of tonight training. Jadi trainingnya ini direkam dan akan muncul linknya 2 hari setelah hari ini by default oleh sistem. Setelah itu nanti kami akan bagikan. Saya akan mencoba membantu menerjemahkan sebagian besar, terutama tadi beberapa yang agak baru ya. Nanti juga akan dibagikan ke kalian. Begitu juga tadi Owen sudah menjanjikan. So basically the slide will also be available for everyone, right, Owen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oke, jadi nanti kalian akan mendapatkan rekaman videonya, file rekaman kayak kaset ya, file rekaman. I'm starting to improve. Sorry, Owen.
Okay.
And then dapat rekaman, dapat terjemahan, sama training deck untuk slide-nya, ya, begitu. Ada lagi pertanyaan untuk Owen? Mungkin pas yang udah lama-lama nggak pegang sehingga lupa-lupa ingat, ya tadi aja udah ada yang lupa, embed gimana?
So just a moment, I just want to test something here. No, not that one. Okay, so yes, one of the tools that I like to use. Just give me a moment. So I'm just going to put something into the chat there. This is one that I used to use a lot, and it seems to be working at the moment for downloading Facebook videos. It's not very fast, but I just tested it and it has worked. So it's getvid.com. So getvid is working. Right now there's a there's a typo in that. Just getvid. Sorry, my mistake. You're right. I'm wrong. Getvid, yes.
Jadi untuk pertanyaan yang Facebook tadi, Owen memberikan alternatif. So it's basically like the alternative to save the videos from Facebook, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. Jadi tadi dia sudah sempat, that's why the first one, without the app, is actually bringing you to the G website.
Yeah, no, the first one was in one of my bookmarks here, but it's gone. So yeah, it's,
okay.
But it's actually the same service. Maybe they lost the original URL. It's the same service.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So but the correct one is now with the F, right?
It is, yes, the correct one now is with the F. Yeah.
Okay, jadi salah satu alternatif.
I have to update my link.
Oke, jadi bisa juga untuk opsi menyimpan video di Facebook pakai yang ini ya, yang tadi aku share, yang getfvid.com. Karena kalau yang getfid kayaknya dia tadi sebenarnya sebelumnya bisa, tapi sekarang sepertinya domainnya tidak diperpanjang sehingga tidak bisa lagi diakses, begitu ya. Oke, Afwan. So another question is the function of visualping.io is similar with the subscribe when you are subscribing to one website?
The function of visual ping is, well, what it's used for is trying to find if changes are made. Because if you're subscribing to a website, what exactly did you mean by that?
It's like feeding, news feed, things like that. So it's basically like giving you.
No. Visual ping is based on the actual appearance of a page or a section of a page. So if the appearance changes, you get a notification. This is why I prefer follow that page. And the thing is that if you're using follow that page, you can make an entire list of them. If you sign up and set a login, it's free. And you can have a whole lot of different URLs, and it will send you a daily email to tell you if there have been any changes to them.
Okay.
And you have them all in the one place then, so you don't have to subscribe to a whole bunch of things and get separate emails all the time. But
So basically,
yeah, sorry.
It focus on the appearance of the website, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Jadi begitu hanya fokus ke appearance perwajahan kali ya. Jika ada perubahan di website tersebut, si visual ping ini akan bantu kita untuk memberikan notifikasi. Oke, Eoghan. Yeah, but the challenges is actually if things changing in the middle of the training, it can be like making us very nervous, and also probably participants are also questioning our ability.
Oh, I know that. I mean, that happens to everybody. It happens to every trainer. That's why it's important that you explain early on to people, these are free tools and we do not have any control over them. So, I know that people do sometimes expect you to have all the answers to everything. And no matter how much you learn, no matter how much you stay on top of these things and stay current with them, there will be times when something will not work unexpectedly. And the only advice I can give you in that situation is, again, to explain that, you don't have control over all these things. You don't have control over the entire internet. And to try to, work with them to figure out what can we now do about this? What have we learned from this? Because it's the internet. It's wild.
Oke. Jadi kalau misalnya ternyata terjadi perubahan di tengah-tengah training, sehingga seperti yang misalnya terjadi dengan Afwan gitu misalnya tadi ya. Terus kalau misalnya toolsnya nggak bekerja, kan kita suka cemas ya, mungkin takutnya nanti jangan-jangan orang jadi mempertanyakan kita tuh sebenarnya bisa atau nggak sih. Harus diingatkan kembali bahwa semua aplikasi tools ini gratis, jadi kita nggak punya kontrol terhadap tools ini. Jadi kalau ada perubahan, ya itu memang udah dari sananya gitu. Kalau bisa punya alternatif lain lebih bagus. So Hesti wants to elaborate more about the benefit of or the function of visualping.oi.
Hesti, let me get back to you on that. The reason I'm saying this is not to put you off now, but because I have a trainee in, I think, Malaysia, who said to me that she has found it very useful and has got a number of scoops through using it. So I will ask her for an example and I will get back to you on it.
Oke, kayaknya masih banyak juga yang pengen tahu soal visualping.oi ini kan. Jadi nanti Eoghan akan mengontak salah satu trainer di Malaysia yang sudah pernah memiliki sebenarnya best practice-nya kayak apa sih. Nanti dia akan balik lagi ke kita untuk mengelaborasi lebih lanjut tentang visualping.oi ini. Thank you, Eoghan. But okay, is there any? I mean, like some trainers, they don't have the regular training. I mean, like sometimes because the trainings like mostly located in Java or big cities, so it's very useful for them to always practice, right? So where
Yeah.
do they get the like probably like the source where they can also debunking what like pictures or things, and then at some points and people will answer like community so that they will, like is there any things that sharing or you know what I mean, right?
So people to have ideas in to keep their ideas current and to keep in practice.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guaranteed way of doing that, but I mean, I think that's what our communities should be for, our WhatsApp groups and so on. If it's possible to set up, I don't know what's the best way to do this. Should we maybe have a Slack group or a Facebook group, or how we can do this to make it more, I guess, content rich? Because the WhatsApp group tends to take the format of question answer, and things just move down very, very fast. So I'm wondering if there would be a way in Slack or Zulip or Facebook or somewhere that we could put together good examples. I think that that spreadsheet could be used in such a way. But, we have no guarantee. We don't know how regularly people are going to check in. We don't know exactly what people are looking for. Is there a way that we can share just the best examples or just the best content? That's something that I don't think I can dictate to people. It's something we should probably all discuss as a group and see what works best for most people.
Okay. Budi has a question. How to find first post in Facebook and how to find first hashtag in Twitter also?
The first post on a specific topic, first hashtag. There's, I don't think there's any guarantee that you're going to find it, but if you're looking for the first hashtag in Twitter, it can be very labor intensive. All you can do really is search for that hashtag and then scroll back. I do know a friend of mine who's a very good programmer for Twitter. Now he uses Python and he uses programs he's written himself on GitHub, but I can ask him if he knows of an easy way to automate that. With us, when I was working for Storyful and that kind of thing was important, it very often just involved a lot of scrolling.
The second question is the socialrank.com/first follower.
Yeah, I mean that shows you, social rank shows you the first person who ever followed you, so or the first person who ever followed any account. So, if you have a use case for that, great. If you want to know who the first person to follow a specific account was for whatever reason, it works. But it's specifically targeting followers.
Oke, Mas Budi udah jelas ya. Ada lagi yang lain? yang mau tanya, nggak apa-apa pakai bahasa Indonesia di section sebelah kanan, nanti aku bantu terjemahin.
A lot of these apps and services, you have things like Social Rank. I use one called Audience, spelled with an SE on the end. There are also things like Follow or Wonk, and very often there are a lot of different functions to these, a lot of different features, and it's very easy to get kind of bogged down in them. But sometimes we do find use cases for them. We do find uses that can be beneficial to us. So all I can say is, check out the services you're using, see if there are ways in which they could help your journalism or your verification work.
What is the name again? Audience?
Audience, yeah, Audiense.
Halo, sebentar ya. Owennya, komputernya self reboot. Jadi perlu dinyalain dulu lagi ya, komputernya mati, jadi dia perlu beberapa menit ditunggu sebentar sampai komputernya menyala kembali. Oke? Jangan pergi loh Bapak Ibu. Adi, masih nggak Adi?
Halo Mbak Ratna. Halo semuanya.
Ya. Pia Irham?
Ya ini sepertinya Awan mesti refresh dulu dia.
Oke, aku bilangin ya.
Ya, seperti kemarin kita udah bahas. Jadi oke, jadi Owen minta berapa menit lagi nih untuk kembali. Jadi teman-teman sabar dulu. Mungkin bisa sambil bikin kopi atau bawa cemilan ke sini juga boleh sih. Apa cemilan dari mana nih? Dari Bandung boleh lah. Dari Bandung, oke. Kita bawalah ke sini lah. Oke, Owen sudah bergabung lagi di Welcome Owen. Can you hear me? You can turn the webcam on. Halo? No sound. I don't.
Yeah, okay, cool. He's
Okay.
back.
Welcome back.
back.
Okay, I'm back. Tell me if you can hear me.
Okay. Yep.
So you play the instrument.
So, do we have any more questions?
Ada lagi nggak? Kalau nggak ada, berarti udah bisa disudahi loh ini. Karena dia nggak akan perform malam ini ya. So it's about training, it's not about music performance. Kalau nggak ada, berarti sudah bisa disudahi. Nanti komunikasi berikutnya berarti bisa. So you also we can also ask questions through the WhatsApp group, right? After the
Yes, of course. And I have a couple of things that I have to get back to you on anyway.
Yes.
So I will put those in later.
Okay. Yeah, including the new one, like the visualping.io that we discussed earlier. Okay, kalau nggak ada lagi, so if there are no questions from the participants, I think we can wrap it and then finish the session probably. Do you have things that you want to add before we finish the session, Eoghan?
Things that I would add? No, I think we've covered everything. Like I say, I would like to get emails for everybody who's on the session and also as many members of the training network as possible, so that I will then add access for people to the examples and exercises spreadsheet. And as I say, you can add to it, or if you want, you can just take from it. So if I can get everybody's emails, I can give them access to that.
Okay, so it's basically like you said earlier, this is like the pool where we can give and share the new, how do you say, like tools or key
No,
tips?
this one is
key tips, yeah. Key tips.
This one is specifically for videos and photos to be used for exercises or examples.
Okay. Example and exercise, sorry.
That people ask me so many times, how can I find new examples? How can I find new exercise material? And it's one that, if I were to provide that to people, I'd be doing it 24 hours, 7 days, because people are always asking for it. So I think this is one way we can use the power of the crowd. We have a huge network across Indonesia, also in India, also in several other countries. So hopefully this is going to grow into a very, very big document with many, many contributions, and you'll get stuff not only from Indonesia, but also from other countries and other regions, which could be useful just to give some variety.
Yes, because yesterday we have one trainer, and he used the pictures from different part of the world.
Yeah.
But he gave training in the very middle class university. So basically, the students visited most of the places. So it's basically easy for them to.
Yeah.
Even without using the tools. So probably it's also good to have different materials for the exercise from different part of the things that we haven't seen, or new things. Okay.
That is also a useful thing, though, Ratna, when you do get a group and people say, well, I've been there, I know there, to remind them that that's not cheating, that's just using their experience. So that's the same if you're in a newsroom. You're going to have different people working with you who have different backgrounds and different experiences. So that is all valid.
Yeah, true. It's basically because first-hand experience is the good one as well, right?
Yeah, first-hand experience counts just as much as anything else.
Oke, jadi nanti setelah ini, ini adalah contoh dan soal-soal untuk latihan. Karena biasanya kalau kita mau training tuh kan kita pengen ada yang dikerjain tuh sama pesertanya. Nah, dia tuh sering banget ada pertanyaan itu. Nanti kalau satu-satu dijawab, bisa-bisa habis waktunya dia hanya untuk ngasih example dan exercise. Jadi nanti setelah ini Febri akan bantu kita memberikan list email kita kalau ada yang mau diupdate yang berbeda dengan yang diberikan sebelum pelatihan, bisa hubungi Febri. Nanti list itu akan diberikan ke Eoghan, dan kita semua yang ada di dalam daftar list email tersebut akan mendapatkan akses ke Excel ini, ke file ini. Okay, so Febri will taking care of this, and then she will send the email list to you after this.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's it for now, at least. We will gather more questions, and then we'll bring to you to WhatsApp if there are any following up questions after the session.
And also just a reminder for people that if you have a specific question for me in the WhatsApp, please put an @ with my name, because I'm in so many WhatsApp groups with training groups that I have my push notifications turned off because I kept getting notifications at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So please put an @ so that if I wake up in the morning and somebody has messaged me during the night, I can see that.
Yeah. Jadi karena dia memberikan training di banyak negara dan sehingga dia bergabung di banyak WhatsApp group. Jadi kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan setelah ini yang masih mau ditanyakan, jangan lupa pertanyaannya dimulai dengan @akeong, namanya Owen, nama akunnya Owen di WhatsApp group, lalu pertanyaan, sehingga nanti itu memudahkan dia untuk langsung tahu bahwa dia ada pertanyaan karena dia mematikan fitur notifikasinya. Begitu. Oke?
Okay,
Cool.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Owen.
Terima kasih. I will see you next time.
Terima kasih. Bye everyone. Terima kasih ya semua ya. Bye.